The Boys just delivered 4 seasons of the most brutal takedown of superhero culture ever created. The series follows ordinary people fighting back against corrupt superheroes who abuse their power for corporate profit, with every episode revealing new layers of conspiracy that reach into the highest levels of government and society. Huey Campbell starts as an ordinary tech guy, but what he gets pulled into turns out to be way bigger than he ever expected. Here's everything that happened in The Boys across 4 seasons of corporate superhero nightmares. The world of The Boys looks like ours, except superheroes exist and are marketed as celebrities by Vought American, a massive corporation that manages the Seven, the premier superhero team. Homelander leads the group as America's Golden Boy, while Queen Maeve, A-Train, The Deep, Black Noir, Translucent, and newcomer Starlight round out the roster. What the public doesn't know is that these heroes are products manufactured by Vought, rather than naturally gifted individuals. Huey Campbell's ordinary life explodes when A-Train accidentally runs through his girlfriend Robin at super speed, reducing her to a bloody mess on the sidewalk. Vought offers Huey a settlement and non-disclosure agreement, but he refuses, consumed by grief and rage. This brings him to the attention of Billy Butcher, a cynical Brit with a personal vendetta against superheroes who claims to be an FBI agent. Butcher shows Huey footage of A-Train laughing about Robin's death, proving that these supposed heroes have no regard for human life. Meanwhile, Annie January, known as Starlight, joins the Seven after years of dreaming about becoming a real superhero. Her first day turns into a nightmare when the Deep sexually assaults her, threatening her position if she doesn't comply with his demands. Butcher recruits Huey to plant a surveillance device in Vought Tower, where Huey accidentally encounters Translucent, an invisible superhero who discovers their operation. Butcher and Huey manage to capture Translucent using specialized equipment, but they need help figuring out how to kill someone who's essentially indestructible. They turn to Frenchie, Butcher's former colleague who specializes in weapons and explosives. While Frenchie experiments with ways to penetrate Translucent's carbon metamaterial skin, the team discovers that Vought has been lying about the origin of superheroes. Compound V, a serum created by Nazi scientist Frederick Vought, is secretly injected into babies to create superheroes. This means every superhero is manufactured by the corporation rather than naturally gifted, making their entire mythology a corporate lie. The Boys expand their team by recruiting Mother's Milk, a former colleague of Butcher's who has personal reasons for hating Vought, and Kimiko, a mute girl with superhuman strength and regenerative abilities who is experimented on by terrorists. Kimiko was part of the Shining Light Liberation Army before being rescued by the Boys, and her trauma from that experience shapes her violent but protective relationship with the team. The revelation about Compound V leads to the discovery of Vought's deeper conspiracy. Homelander, despite his all-American image, was raised in a laboratory and subjected to horrific experiments. His psychological damage manifests in his need for love and approval, but also in his capacity for extreme violence when that approval is threatened. The series reveals that Homelander sexually assaulted Butcher's wife, Becca, leading to her disappearance and Butcher's obsession with revenge. Vought's corporate structure includes Madeline Stillwell as VP of Hero Management, who manipulates Homelander through a twisted maternal relationship while advancing the company's political agenda. Ashley Barrett serves as Director of Talent Relations, managing the public images of increasingly unstable superheroes. The corporation treats heroes like products, complete with focus groups, market research, and demographic targeting. Season 1 climaxes when Butcher finally confronts Homelander, only to discover that Becca is alive and has been raising Homelander's son Ryan in a Vought compound. This revelation shatters Butcher's worldview and sets up the complex family dynamics that will drive future seasons. Homelander kills Vought executive Madeline Stillwell when he realizes she's been manipulating him, demonstrating that even corporate handlers aren't safe from their superhero products. Season 2 begins with the Boys scattered and wanted for Stillwell's murder, while Homelander's behavior becomes increasingly erratic. Vought introduces Stormfront, a social media-savvy superhero who initially appears to represent progressive values, but is revealed to be a century-old Nazi with a white supremacist agenda. Her relationship with Homelander creates a dangerous alliance between America's most powerful superhero and a literal fascist. Stormfront's backstory reveals she was the first successful Compound V subject, created by her husband Friedrich Vought in Nazi Germany. She's been alive for over a century, adapting her white supremacist ideology to modern social media platforms. Her recruitment to the Seven represents Vought's willingness to embrace fascist elements when it serves their corporate interests. The season explores Ryan's development as he struggles with his emerging powers while living in isolation with his mother. Becca tries to give him a normal childhood, but Homelander's influence grows stronger as he attempts to bond with his son. The tension between Becca's protective instincts and Homelander's desire to shape Ryan into his successor creates ongoing conflict that will define both characters. Meanwhile, the Deep joins the Church of the Collective, a Scientology-like organization that promises redemption for his sexual assault scandal. His arc becomes a darkly comic exploration of how powerful men attempt to rehabilitate their images after public disgrace. The church manipulates his desperation for acceptance while using his celebrity status for their own purposes, eventually arranging a marriage to advance their agenda. The Compound V secret goes public through Starlight's brave decision to expose Vought's lies, forcing the corporation to scramble with damage control while the government investigates their illegal human experimentation. This revelation should destroy the company, but Vought's political connections and media manipulation allow them to survive by scapegoating lower-level employees and promising reform they never intend to implement. Season 2's climax features a battle between Stormfront and the female members of the Seven, Starlight, Queen Maeve, and Kimiko, in what becomes known as the Girls Get It Done fight. During this confrontation, Ryan accidentally kills his mother Becca while trying to protect her from Stormfront, traumatizing the boy and devastating both Homelander and Butcher. This tragedy sets up Ryan's internal conflict between his mother's moral teachings and his father's corrupting influence. Season 3 introduces Soldier Boy, America's original superhero from World War II, who was supposedly killed by the Russians, but actually captured and experimented on for decades. The boys travel to Russia to find him, discovering that he's not only alive, but possesses the ability to permanently remove superpowers through radioactive blasts. This makes him a potential weapon against Homelander, though his own violent tendencies make him nearly as dangerous. Butcher and Huey begin taking Temp V, a 24-hour version of Compound V that gives them temporary superpowers. This creates tension within the team, as Mother's Milk and Frenchie worry about the drug's side effects, and the way power corrupts even well-intentioned people. The temporary powers allow Butcher and Huey to fight Soups on equal terms, but at the cost of their health and moral clarity. The season's most infamous episode, Herogasm, features an annual superhero orgy that becomes the site of a massive battle between Soldier Boy, Homelander, and Butcher. The episode pushes the boundaries of television content while serving as a metaphor for the corruption and excess that defines superhero culture in this world. The battle devastates the location and demonstrates the collateral damage that occurs when superpowered individuals fight without restraint. The revelation that Soldier Boy is Homelander's father adds another layer to the family dysfunction that drives the series. Soldier Boy's disappointment in his son mirrors Homelander's own daddy issues, creating a cycle of abuse and abandonment that spans generations. Their confrontation forces Ryan to choose between Butcher, who represents his mother's values, and Homelander, who represents power without responsibility. Season 3 ends with Queen Maeve sacrificing herself to stop Soldier Boy, though she survives the encounter while losing her powers. Her relationship with Olenna provides one of the series' few examples of genuine love surviving in a corrupt world. Ryan chooses Homelander over Butcher, setting up the final season's exploration of how children can be corrupted by powerful but toxic father figures. If you're fascinated by how The Boys uses superhero satire to examine real-world issues of corporate power and political corruption, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're diving deep into how this series becomes one of television's most savage critiques of American culture, and you won't want to miss our analysis of what makes it so effective. Season 4 eviscerates the political themes as Victoria Newman, revealed as the head-popping Soup, runs for vice president, while secretly working to consolidate superhero power within the government. The boys attempt to stop her campaign, but discover she's become nearly invulnerable, making their usual tactics ineffective. Newman's political rise represents how superpowered individuals can infiltrate democratic institutions from within. Homelander's mental state deteriorates further as his popularity declines and he struggles to maintain his public image. He recruits Sister Sage, the world's smartest person, to help rehabilitate his reputation and achieve his ultimate goal of superhero supremacy. Sage's intelligence makes her a formidable opponent who can outthink the boys at every turn, developing complex strategies that account for every possible countermove. Firecracker joins the Seven, bringing a personal grudge against Starlight from their childhood beauty pageant days. Her addition represents how personal vendettas can be weaponized within larger political movements, as she uses her platform to spread conspiracy theories and attack Starlight's credibility. Her backstory reveals how childhood trauma and resentment can be manipulated by larger forces. The season explores Homelander's origin story more deeply, showing his return to the laboratory where he was raised. His systematic murder of the scientists and staff who tortured him as a child demonstrates the long-term consequences of institutional abuse. Dr. Vogelbaum, one of his creators, reveals details about the experiments that shaped Homelander's psychology and explains why certain aspects of his personality were deliberately cultivated. A-Train's redemption arc reaches its conclusion as he becomes the leak within the Seven, providing information to the boys while struggling with his own guilt over past actions. His relationship with Blue Hawk, a racist superhero, forces him to confront how his silence enabled systemic oppression within the superhero community. His brother's paralysis at Blue Hawk's hands motivates A-Train's final turn against his former allies. The introduction of a shapeshifter creates paranoia and mistrust as the character infiltrates various organizations, making it impossible to know who can be trusted. The plot device serves as a metaphor for how misinformation and deception undermine democratic institutions. The shapeshifter's ability to perfectly mime anyone makes every interaction suspect and forces characters to question their closest relationships. Butcher's terminal diagnosis from Temp V abuse drives his increasingly desperate actions throughout the season. His brain tumor, caused by repeated exposure to the temporary compound, gives him a limited time frame to accomplish his goals. This medical countdown creates urgency while also explaining his willingness to abandon moral constraints in favor of utilitarian violence. The season builds towards a climactic confrontation, where Butcher, driven by his terminal diagnosis and desperation to stop Homelander, makes increasingly extreme choices. His assassination of Victoria Newman represents his complete abandonment of moral constraints in favor of utilitarian violence. The murder occurs just as Newman seemed to be developing genuine feelings for her daughter, adding tragic complexity to her death. Homelander's appointment as national enforcer under martial law represents the series' ultimate nightmare scenario, a fascist superhero with government backing and no oversight. This development transforms the show from a critique of corporate power into a warning about authoritarian takeover. President-elect Singer's assassination by the shapeshifter creates the crisis that allows this power grab to succeed. The season ends with the boys captured by various supes, while Annie barely escapes. Kate Dunlap uses her mind control powers to subdue Mother's Milk, while Sam Riordan's super strength overwhelms Kimiko. Frenchie gets arrested for his past crimes after confessing to police, removing him from the final confrontation. Butcher drives away with the soup-killing virus, still hallucinating conversations with his dead wife Becca and Joe Kessler. Ryan's evolution throughout the season shows how Homelander's influence gradually corrupts his moral compass. His killing of Grace Mallory demonstrates that even children raised with good values can be turned toward violence when exposed to the right combination of trauma and manipulation. His smile at the end of Season 3 when Homelander kills a protester foreshadows his complete transformation. The series has consistently explored how power corrupts individuals while also examining the institutional structures that enable that corruption. Vought's corporate culture, the government's willingness to compromise with fascists, and the media's complicity in spreading propaganda all contribute to the dystopian world where the boys must operate. If you want to explore more analysis of the biggest upcoming television series, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, and let me know in the comments who you think is going to make it out alive in the final season. Drop your predictions in the comments.